So the first thing that you had to worry about was his two-play mini scheme out the single back tight. So first would have been the motion toss, and then he would follow it right back up with the motion deep cross over the middle. Now, he didn't have to actually motion for the pass, but it was more deception just to make you think it was going to be a run, and he will hit you over the head. And you could actually take it away with just one adjustment. So he even went right back to it the very next drive, but already has something in place, and it's easy to take away, but it's easier probably to show you in practice mode. Alright, so on this Madden, the reason why that crossing route was so effective in getting behind the defense is because in the previous Maddens, they used to actually have a, they used to allow you to shift the coverage, so you can actually shift them to the sideline or to the middle of the field, but they got rid of that. So you notice there's like a spacing in between each deep blue zone. There's like a gap in between there. So the guy on the sideline, in this case the cornerback on the right side of the field, his coverage, his deep third is more so holding him to that sideline. And there we go, my isolator right there. And what was happening, notice the crossing route, it doesn't actually it's not going to cross into his side of the field until about like 40 yards downfield. So his logic is basically telling, the AI is basically telling him he's going to get it on his drop, and he goes back 5 or 10 yards. And if there's no one on his side of the field going deep, he'll stop actually getting, he'll stop going deeper. He won't have any reason to keep going downfield. So notice, look, he's going to stop because there's nothing on his side threatening the field. By the time it's actually his responsibility, he's already beat by a good 30 plus yards. So that's why it was actually so effective. And a lot of guys didn't even realize that. So that's why they kept getting beat in the head over and over. All right, so the workaround, I had about 8 of them myself. I'm sure there's probably more, but in the interest of time, I'll probably just mention 1 or 2 of them here. So it's basically putting him in the cover 2 zone over there on the side that he's going to be doing the crossing route to. So if you notice, it's still a 3 deep look, but now look, the blue zones, they actually overlap. So you no longer have that spacing, and he's basically going to deep half over there on that side of the field. And being in the cover 2, he's going to react a little different. So in the cover 3, again, he wasn't going to get all the way downfield if he didn't have a responsibility. He's just worried about his third of the field, where him being in cover 2, the logic is telling him that I have this whole half of the field and I can't let anybody behind me. So he's going to play it completely differently. He's even going to pick it up earlier across the field. Notice that there are gaps, as I mentioned. There's no gap. Notice that their zones overlap. So he'll actually, again, he's going to intercept and pick up that route way earlier. So basically, he's like help defense when they're doing this deep crossing route. All right, so notice, look how early in that route he picks it up. He's not even going to allow it to get behind him anymore. And in this case, he even intercepts it. And again, that's making just one adjustment. So I've seen people like pull players way out of coverage just to try to manually chase it down and still get beat over the top of the head. And you completely compromise the integrity of your defense by breaking it all apart when you could just make one adjustment. And this is a completely different crossing route, real popular crossing route that a lot of people try. He even tried it a few times, but again, it takes that away also. And another way to stop it, in case you're not a cover 3 guy, you can do it with cover 2. So cover 2, just put a guy in deep middle like a lot of guys do, and it still is 3 deep coverage. There's pros and cons to doing it like this, and again, I can get into that in another video, but get back to the cover 3. But yeah, this is actually his, in my opinion, his most effective crossing route. He had a lot of them, but it takes this one away as well with just one adjustment by putting the side that he's crossing to, putting that deep guy again in the cover 2 while leaving everyone else in their assignment. And if you can take it away with just that one adjustment, then that allows you to actually focus on everything else and take away a check down, take away a second and third option, blitz. So there's so many things you can do when you can take away their home run threat with just one adjustment. All right, and here you can see that crossing route going from left to right being cut off, and he forced to scramble. And here, same crossing route that we just saw in the practice mode, and forced the coverage sack. And one more time, same play in the Super Bowl. That crossing route is being taken away, being cut off, and he has nowhere to go with it. And then one more time in the Super Bowl rematch, and right here, this actually clinched the game for me. the next play was actually pretty crafty, but it was the easiest one to identify because it was the only concept he would run out of this formation. He would basically send the tight end on a streak, and it was unlocking a new route, basically. The tight end would run, hit the very back of the end zone and just turn around and stop, and he would hit him with a high bullet pass. And if you didn't know that it was coming, it was going to be damn near impossible to stop without making any adjustments. So here he is. He in the middle of the game, he just started running it back to back to back. And typically when it's not working and someone's actually running it that many times, they're probably just not getting the success that they expected out of it. He's still moving the chains a little bit, but after too many times, picked it off here. And then on the very next drive, he opened it up with it again, and I got a sack. So, it was not that hard to adjust against because it was the only play, and here it is again, only play that we run from that formation. And this is the 9th time that he did it, and he finally got what he was looking for. I didn't actually account for the tight end, so it was a basic cover 3. And he hit the back of the end zone, turned around, and got his second touchdown. So it was kind of gimmicky, but it is what it is. So here I took it away and actually got a fumble. All right, so this is another tendency of his. Typically, when a guy actually has a play that works or he thought it should work, they would do it maybe twice in a row. But just like I showed with the previous formation, he can really get locked in and try it 5-6 times in a row, and that's exactly what he did. So I'm actually defending his deep over the top pass, but I guess we didn't take into account that when he's this close in the red zone, I don't have to worry about the deep lob. So I pulled the coverage up and he threw it right back to the same person. The guy was actually never open that time. All right, so the next trend of his that you had to be mindful of was going to be the fake screen will play. And this is probably the most gimmicky thing of all Madden 19. And it wasn't just him, so I'm not taking a shot at him, but a lot of people was using it. And this is one of those things and it was like the first gimmick I think that broke. So it was one of those things that you had to take the time out to learn how to stop, because if you didn't, they were definitely going to take advantage of you. They were going to exploit the hell out your defense. And it's also easily identifiable because it's just from one formation. So I've always been good at taking this away. And for him, he probably used it a lot more than anybody. Most guys would use it just once or twice a game, and he definitely wasn't shy, of taking his shots with it. But for the most part, he either was going to take a sack or take a check down. But yeah, this was one of those plays that wasn't going to beat me in Madden. All right, so he used to primarily